From Montreal, Canada, the two top seeds will fight it out for the Canadian Open. It's Lendl versus Edberg. Presents the Canadian Open Tennis Championships from Jarry Tennis Stadium in Montreal, Canada. It's the final match, Ivan Lendl versus Stefan Edberg. Today's match is brought to you by the financial professionals at Payne Weber Incorporated. By Volvo, a car you can believe in. By Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. Mobil 1 protects your engine better than any conventional motor oil. And by Penn tennis balls. You've seen one, you've seen them all. Terrible weather at Stratton Mountain, and yesterday, of course, terrible weather as well here in Canada, but things have changed. As you see, there's only a 10% chance of rain. We are going to have the final between the number 1 and 3 players in the world. You know, they never did get to finish those singles semifinals yesterday, unfortunately. They had to play at 10 o'clock this morning. They did play the doubles indoors in an indoor arena here in Montreal. Hello to you, everyone. I'm Cliff Dreisler with Fred Stolle. And Fred, my first question, I suppose, is it is tough for these guys to have played already this morning, just hours ago, a semifinal, and now to have to come out and play the big one.
Very difficult to double up in the one day, Cliff, but it happens occasionally. The 4 players were disappointed that they couldn't play yesterday or last evening. Most of them played doubles last night, finished pretty late, and to get up and get ready for a semi-final in an important tournament is difficult. But as Jimmy Connors said, nobody likes it, but occasionally if you have bad weather, it has to be done.
Do you think Becker has a legitimate complaint having to play again this morning at 10?
Well, Boris was very unhappy. He was probably the most unhappy of the lot of them, and he felt that he needs his sleep. The young fellow said he needs 9 hours an evening for his rest and to get out and do his best. So coming into a match like that, if you're mentally thinking that way, it's a negative attitude and you're a long way behind the 8 ball. And in the match against Edberg this morning, he was frustrated early in that match, and Edberg felt that he had to take advantage of that situation.
Fred, now you look at Ivan Lendl, you expect him to be in the final because he always seems to be there. But Stefan Edberg is a different story. He won the Australian, of course. He's won other couple of events on the Nabisco Grand Prix this year. But he's a much less consistent player, isn't he?
Well, the wind here, I think, helped him today, Cliff. The conditions are very breezy for the final this afternoon. They were the same this morning, and Stefan Edberg said, well, he likes to play in the wind. And in the final this afternoon against Ivan Lendl, Lendl is not too keen on the wind. As we know, he has a very high ball toss, and this could affect the way he plays today.
You're going to pick a winner?
I think it's going to be a very tough one. I'm going to leave that to you.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do it. All right, this is the final of the Canadian Open from Montreal, the number 1 player in the world and the number 3. A preview of the U.S. Open? Maybe. We'll be back. Last time these two played was the Great Wimbledon Championship. Lendl, of course, ended up getting to the final and losing in that final to a surprising Pat Cash, who really since that time has not played that well. But there he is, without a doubt at this point, the number 1 player in the world. He beat Snyder, as you see. Snyder's a young Canadian player. That was in the second round. Of course, he got a bye that was in the third round, rather. He got a bye in the first round, and then Zivojinovic in straight sets. And Connors, just this morning, a few hours ago, again in straight sets. Lendl has not yet lost a set. Take a look at Connors, though. He beat McEnroe, as you can see, in the quarterfinal on Friday night, something that he has not done in a long, long time. Ivan Lendl, Fred, you have to say that that man is an odds-on favorite for the U.S. Open title.
Well, I think that he's a little worried peaking here at this event. Cliff, he said in the press comments that this is a warm-up for him going into the U.S. Open, and he's got to hold the form. He's played very well this week, but a little superstitious, strangely enough, because the last time that he won this event, he lost in the finals of the U.S. Open. So that's an interesting thing for the viewers today. The last time that he won this event, he lost in the final of the U.S. Open. So we'll see if that plays on his mind today against Stefan Edberg.
Remember what happened last week in Stratton, of course, against McEnroe. He lost the first set, was leading in the second, presumably would have won it, and who knows what would have happened in that final. And this week, as we said already a couple of times, McEnroe lost in the quarterfinals to, and it was an evening match, by the way, because of inclement weather on Friday. He lost that match to Jimmy Connors. Well, the man he's playing against, the number 3 player in the world, has already a Grand Slam title this year under his belt. We covered it. We were down there in Australia, and that is Stefan Edberg. Of course, he got to this final in also relatively easy fashion. He played Kevin Curran, who had a tough match with him, though, and Boris Becker in straight sets, and that's the first time, by the way, that he's beaten Becker in a while. In the third round, he beat Jimmy Arias. Now, take a look at the number 5 seed, the top of your screen, Pat Cash. He lost to Lundgren of Sweden, and that was a third-round match. So Cash has not had too much luck of late. Then Becker got through against Renneberg, as you see, and Becker, of course, beat Lundgren before losing to Edberg this morning. Becker, by the way, as we said in the opening, not at all happy about having to play this morning against his good friend, Stefan Edberg.
Stefan Edberg said that the 4 players were not happy, as we mentioned in the stand-up, having to play the semi-finals and then come out pretty much a couple of hours later to compete in the finals. But Edberg said the conditions this morning were very windy, and they are exactly the same. You can see the way his hair is blowing around now in the breeze. Conditions very tough down there in centre court. A packed stadium here in Montreal. The Canadians have done a fantastic job with this event over the years, and John Beddington has the house full today, and it's a tribute that they have had such a great field here. Edberg likes to play in the wind. That's the thing that he thought may help him in the final. He was so happy that he beat Boris Becker. You can see how gusty it is with the flag there at the top of the mast, and Stefan Edberg said he likes to play in the wind, and Ivan Lendl doesn't, and this, he felt, helped him tremendously in the match against Boris Becker this morning, and he was the first one to admit that Becker didn't play too well today.
And Becker said so, by the way. He also said it is tough to play against that guy because he has a very good wind game. That man, you will see, Stefan Edberg, the man with a good wind game, against the number 1, Ivan Lendl. Final of the Canadian Open Championships, the Jarry Tennis Stadium.
Seats, please.
Montreal, Canada. Lendl leads 5-3. He's won the last 2 times. We talked about that 87 Wimbledon outing. It was a 4-setter, 3-6. He lost the first set and then won 3 in a row, but it was a tiebreaker there in the third set and a very, very close
Seats
match.
behind the court, please.
That's always a good indication of how close the matches are. At 1 set all, and then the third set's decided by a tiebreak, and the winner of that third set, which was Ivan Lendl, went on to win that match. Edberg to serve.
They are both all-court players, by the way. Edberg can play on slow courts, but this is his preferred surface. Lendl won the French on clay, so he can play on a slow surface, you know that. But he also likes either this surface or an indoor Supreme Court. Edberg to serve, first point. We understand, and I never had a chance to talk to Lendl about it, but we understand that he was unhappy about having to come back and play at 2 o'clock. They said play or be defaulted. This match being shown live on Canadian television.
It's always difficult to a major tournament such as this and double up, play 2 singles matches in the one day, but you think of the young fellas that have to qualify for these tournaments or for events such as Wimbledon, the US Open, they play a couple of qualifying matches each day. There's a little more pressure. I think today, Cliff, both players are going to have to take it a little bit off that first serve because of the windy conditions, and this may help the serve of Stefan Edberg, who has a little bit more margin of error on the serve, which means he kicks it over the net a little bit high.
Game point, Edberg. Well, you see Edberg following his serves into the net. I think you'll see him coming behind both serves. Lendl will not. You remember last week when he played against McEnroe in the final. He has to force himself to come into the net. And, well, unless there's some extraneous circumstance that makes him do it, he just stay back. game of the match for the number 3 player in the world, Edberg. He's playing Lendl. We'll be back.
First game.
We talked about how many times these two players have played against each other. It's the first time they've actually played in a Nabisco Grand Prix final. The majority of their 8 matches so far have played in semi-final conditions, and they played in the round-robin Nabisco Grand Prix Masters in Madison Square Garden.
Zero, 15.
Good touch there by Lendl on that shot there. It was an approach shot with a lot of topspin in the windy conditions, and Edberg did a great job to get the volleys blanketing the net, and Lendl had to get that one right on the line with the angle backhand. They've split their previous meetings on hard courts. Lendl, of course, winning the most recent confrontation in last year's US Open. 7-6, 6-2, 6-3. First set of tie break, so pretty close one there as well.
Cajon 0, 14.
Lendl's had a tremendous year this year. This is his 7th singles final.
Andrew van Lendl, 1 game all. Take a look at his year. He lost in the quarterfinal, of course. Lendl did in Australia to Pat Cash. And Edberg eventually beat Cash in the final. He lost the final to Key Biscayne, to Lipton, to Machia. But he won in Hamburg. He won the French, of course. He got the final at Wimbledon. And he won in Washington 2 weeks ago.
Great athleticism by both players there. What a magnificent point so early in this match under such tremendous trying conditions. Both players played to win. Lendl wasn't even going to attempt to that one, but the volley was a little deep. Made it, and look at that stretch by Edberg. Great foot speed by both players.
Remember that Stefan Edberg walked off this court just about 2.5 hours ago, having beaten Boris Becker. So there will not be those early match nerves that you see so often from the players when they're playing the first match of the day.
He really doesn't have a chance to have a letdown after that match, does he?
Or indeed Lendl, because Lendl, of course, beat Connors, and they played at the same time, Lendl on court number 1. Return from Lendl. By the way, Phil, I used to like 30-15. This is purely a personal thing. If you played in the morning and you played another match in the afternoon, I always felt that I played better in the afternoon because you were sort of warmed up from the morning.
We're trying to work on that.
Well, Lendl came over the top of that return. A brilliant backhand down the line. But, all the players mentioned that they were disappointed playing, but the physical part of it wasn't the problem. They all strong enough and fit enough to get out there and play 2 matches. It's just the mental thought of getting up early to play a single semi-final at 10 o'clock in the morning. That was the problem.
Stefan 14-30.
Looking at 1-2. Yes, thank you.
Game point for Edberg, 1 game all. The final of the Canadian Open. Stefan Edberg, 2 games to 1. First set. We'll be back. You know, there's something interesting about Edberg's serve that I want you to look at. It's almost unique. There are very few players that let the left arm, I should say, when the left arm is in the air, let that right arm drag as long as Edberg does. Take a look at this now. See how, you know, how at this point, when most players are pointing to the ball, they're watching the ball, everything is ready to strike into it, the racket is behind the back, or what they call the back scratching position. Well, you see how Edberg's lags. Now he brings it up later as you follow through the swing. See how late it comes in. The ball's already on its way down, and he has to make that entire motion in a relatively short period of time. But believe me, he gets a lot of power nevertheless, and he also gets a lot of topspin on it.
Seats behind the court, please.
Always seems to be a little bit off balance to me, though, when he throws that right leg out. I don't think he gets the best out of his serve, but it's effective.
2 games to 1 for the Swede, Edberg. Number 1 player in the world, Ivan Lendl. Earlier today, beat Connors in straight sets. This is the final. Edberg doesn't like the call. You know that because you'll take a glance at the linesperson, but it was very short. He made his point, and he's not going to argue it.
There's the forehand, and he really clobbered this one. He said he would have to attack Ivan Lendl at every opportunity, but just missed the sideline.
It's an interesting contrast in styles, Fred, because Ivan Lendl likes to stay back, but he has a very powerful game, kind of like Jimmy Connors. On the other hand, Stefan Edberg, from a tactical standpoint, he's going to try to get in the first chance he gets. Two forehand unforced errors from Lendl in a row. 30 all. Just didn't get much bite off that approach shot. It stood up. Lendl had a long time to make the passing shot. Edberg was there, just didn't make the volley.
We've been practicing that approach shot this week with Coach Tony Pickard, and been getting what I consider an excessive amount of slice on it. And conditions today, very humid, and this court being a new surface, hasn't been down that long. That ball just sat up and gave Lendl enough time to make the pass.
Big serve from Lendl. A little bit of trouble with his forehand there in the middle of that game, but this is 2 games apiece here. Jerry Armstrong is in the chair. He's an Englishman, and he travels the tour week after week, sitting in the chair of Nabisco Grand Prix events all over the world. He's a professional.
I thought he handled the match the other evening with Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe very well. It's a tough job.
Stetson Stolle is not down at courtside today. He's with me in the booth, so we can't refer to you. Fred, find out what the players are saying on the court.
Number 15.
Now, it's quite pleasant to be up in the booth and have a bit of a breeze, because I know it's warm and humid down there today after the rain that they had the last couple of days.
There's number 2. 15 more.
Edberg has a very interesting philosophy, I feel, on serve, because he just gets the ball in with spin. It's not a soft serve by any means, but it's also not the hardest in the business. And then he ambles in and says, pass me if you can.
And he did.
But believe me, he made it look easy, and you know that's not an easy shot to make. No break points in the match yet. 2 games all. This is 30 all.
Lendl likes to go after that backhand early in the match. He likes to tee off and try and get an early break. 30 all. It was worth the chance then. Other players would possibly elect, in windy conditions, maybe to slice that one down the line to try and make Edberg come up with a volleying error. Not so with Lendl.
No, that's why. Edberg won in Memphis. He beat Connors in the final there. And Connors beat Pernfors in the semi-final and was way down to him. A set and a break in the second set before Pernfors folded. Interesting that people forget that. When the same thing happened to Pernfors at Wimbledon. 2 sets and 4 games to 1 Pernfors led. And Connors came back and made a name for himself by winning that match.
Again, you see Lendl attempt to hit out, coming over the top of that ball, and that's what caused the error, because the serve from Edberg jumped up a little too high. Tough to make that return from shoulder height.
Used to be the home of the Montreal Expos. We'll be back with more tennis. This is a big day for us on ESPN. Tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, you'll see the first NFL game of a season of games that you will be joining us, I'm sure, on Sunday night. Chicago Bears, Miami Dolphins, and that great new stadium down in Miami. You're from that area, Fred. Have you had a chance to see it?
I haven't had a chance. I have season tickets. I was due to go out there this evening for that game. My wife and family will be there with friends Ike and Barbara Bernstein and their kids, and should be a great night.
Join us for that on ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Ivan Lendl is serving for the first set. This is the Canadian Open Tennis Championships. The final round on Cliff Riser with Fred Stolling.
Ace number 2. Quite a remarkable shot, that one from Lendl, because Edberg had him way out of court, outside the doubles line. He was able to get enough power of shot where Edberg couldn't control it from the baseline.
Three set points. Last time these two played was at Wimbledon. Edberg won the first set there. And they lost 3 in a row. Well, Ivan Lendl reached the final at Stratton Mountain. He won Washington the week before that. And he is in the final here against Stefan Edberg, the Canadian Open from Montreal, and he's won the first set, 6 games to 4. Edberg to serve first game, second set. So he has a 14-match winning streak going into today's match. Edberg took a week off last week, but the week before that, as I mentioned, Nystrom, his countryman, beat him in Båstad on clay.
And that's a shot that Tony Roach has taught Ivan Lendl to take the pace off that return, just chip it right at the feet of the incoming volleyer, and made Edberg attempt a half volley on that. Tough one to control.
30-all. just not that easy to attack the second serve of Edberg. There isn't a player in tennis, at this point anyway, Fred, who puts so much slice or spin, almost a topspin really, as Edberg does on the second serve. So the guys have got to work their way into it and get used to the bounce before they can do anything efficient against it. This is game point for Edberg.
And Lendl again trying to come over it, and he's successful on that one. Have a look where the ball gets up. It bounces way up. Now, Lendl moves into this one, but he jumps off the ground to make that. Just shows you the strength of the man's wrist and forearm to make that backhand.
Deuce. Lendl screaming at somebody in the crowd. I guess something we didn't hear, but somebody must have either said something to him or made a noise inadvertently. Game point. Edberg holds on to his first serve game of the second set. He lost the first set 6-4. Edberg has a great serve, yes, but he's got to be able to back it up with a good volley, and he does. First of all, before you see him start moving into this ball to hit the backhand volley, look how close he is to the net. You can't see the serve line. That means that he's halfway between the two. He's not more than about 12 feet or so away from the net, and that's very important. Now you'll see him start moving into the ball to hit the backhand volley. He will keep his racket head up. His eye is on the ball constantly. See how his racket head never drops. See, it stays up. Now it's high, and he's going to come high to low on the ball. His eye is still on the ball at this point. His wrist is still firm. And as you see, at this point, his wrist is firm. When he makes contact with the ball, the racket head will drop only at that point. But that is only after he has made contact with the ball. So when you volley, keep the wrist up and keep it firm. One game to love. Edberg, second set. One break of serve in the first set against Edberg in the 10th game. 9th game make it, and Lendl is serving. Terrific.
Well executed forehand volley here, but a little deep, not enough angle on it, and that gives Lendl a chance to make that lob. You can see Edberg closing right into the net. He saw that one go over his head with a lot of topspin on it. No chance to chase it.
Oh, he let it go, and he was right, but only just. Edberg's going to amble up there, as if to say, you sure? I've had a couple of very close calls, at least he thinks so, on that same line. Remind you that both these players earlier today played their semi-final round matches. Yesterday's matches were rained out, as you know. Lendl over Connors, and Edberg for the first time in 7 tries over Boris Becker.
As we mentioned, Edberg felt that it was very important for the future that he had a victory over his friend Boris Becker.
One game all now in the second set. First set statistics. Take a look at the first serve on Edberg at 86%. That's very good. Lendl could and will get better from 55%. 12 winners from Lendl, but 5 Edberg, and 15 unforced errors from Edberg. Lendl has the serve break, though. Took 45 minutes. That's what did it for him.
Winners and unforced errors. That's the story of the first set.
Once you're in that position against Lendl, you might as well give it away because you're not going to be able to run it down. Not only did he have the angle, but he has the power.
Well, he's taking a few chances now. He continues to tee off on that second serve return and gets that one, and the speed to run around. Elects to take it on the forehand.
Low 15. Oh, yeah.
It's a very confident Ivan Lendl there now with his nose in front, having won the first set, and he knows that he can take the chances in the second set.
Never lost a match this year after winning the first set.
Not a bad performance.
Not, and he's a slow starter, as you know. Now Lendl wants a call on that sideline. He's looking for a mark. Apparently he's satisfied by what he sees, because he didn't even glance at the linesperson behind him. A big point too, that could have given him 3 break points. There it is again.
Very close call.
Interesting to watch Edberg, because he knows what works for him, so he keeps boring into the net. It's kind of like what an immovable object and irresistible force, isn't it? Because the best part about Lendl's game is how hard he hits the ball, his passing shots, and his return of serve. And he's playing against a guy who likes to come into the net. They're both playing their strengths. It's close.
He's tough from the back of the court, Lendl, isn't he? He's such power and consistency from there. It's difficult for Edberg to do much from that situation.
Edberg would not have been able to run that one down. Clip the top of the net. There's that shirt, Fred, that when we first saw it made such an impression on everybody. It's the Stefan Edberg shirt.
Nobody could quite understand it, but you can, if you look at it very closely, see the SE in black on the shirt. That's it.
but it has become a much more widely seen shirt since he started to wear it, of course. I like it. Nice design. Yeah, different. Game point.
Well, Ivan Lendl never moved one step from the time he made that return. Look, he just doesn't move there. He goes back to the backhand. All he has to do is turn the shoulders, firm the wrist up, and block it down the line. Could have driven a Mack truck down there at that stage.
Deuce, one game all. In the second set, Lendl won the first. Doesn't call it in French and English every time, but I guess sometimes he figures that, well, if he says advantage, Edberg, any idiot, will be able to translate that for himself. Back to Deuce.
It's terrific that those fellows can get up there and do it in both French and English, I'll tell you.
That look on, that shrug rather, from Lendl, saying quite clearly to you that he's amazed that he missed it. Worked himself into the position that he wanted to be and then just didn't execute the shot. Stefan Edberg, not without problems, though, has held on to serve. 2 games to 1 now in the second set for Edberg. He lost the first 6-4. Lendl 6-4, first set. Edberg. No breaks of serve yet in the second, leading 2-1. Lendl will serve.
Lovely.
Lendl's talking to himself a little bit in the early stages of this second set. He had a love 30 on Edberg's last service game, and then he put that last backhand into the net.
15.
Well, Edberg certainly wrapped that one around the frame. Very hot and humid conditions out here today after a couple of days of rain here in Montreal. First part of the week, beautiful. Temperatures up around 75 degrees.
And then rain on Friday and Saturday, of course. Friday, they were able to play the singles matches in the evening. Becker had to play on an outside court. He wasn't happy about that. And Saturday, of course, was rained out altogether. Semi-finals had to be played this morning. Edberg over Becker. And Lendl over Connors. Again, Becker wasn't happy about having to play so early.
Half 2, 30.
Just thinking how beautiful serve motion Lendl has, how confident he is in it.
Always happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Double fault, second double fault to break point.
That's it.
Keeps that left side of his body up so long, and that's the secret to the power that he gets, because he gets the full upper body rotation, and then his forearm and wrist all come into play. Wonderful motion, and it's what made him largely the #1 player in the world.
Third ace. We'll bring it back to deuce. Lendl over the last 3 weeks, we said it's his 5th consecutive Nabisco Grand Prix final, and over the last few weeks he's been able to come up with that big serve, and he's been in trouble. Another one there.
We mentioned that he is on a winning streak now. Lendl is a 14-match winning streak. He's only lost 2 matches on hard courts all year. He's won 21 matches. He lost to Pate in Tokyo and Machir in the final at Key Biscayne.
Edberg's pretty close to that too on hard courts. He's 22-2, so he's only lost 2.
Two, he lost Frederick to Becker in the final at Indian Wells, Charlie Passerell's tournament out Palm Springs area. And then he lost in the quarterfinal to Machir at the Lipton on Key Biscayne. That was a 4-7. Second game point for Lendl in this game. Fred, how do you compare these two in terms of mobility, speed? How specifically Edberg, you think he's as quick as a guy like McEnroe or Creek, for example?
No, I don't think so. I think speed around the court, I think that Lendl is a little bit quicker than Edberg.
The deuce.
Well, another opportunity for the young Swede. He certainly has to convert one of these. Otherwise, mentally, he's really going to be shot to pieces. He's had a few opportunities in the first set. 3 break points in one service game, lost it.
Talking about Johan Krieg, by the way, he beat Mike Leach in the first round here in Canada, but Johan Karlsson from Sweden beat him, upset him in the second round, 6-4 in the third set. Pat Cash, we mentioned, went out to Lundgren, also of Sweden. That was in the third round.
Not a big serve from Lendl when he needed it.
He knew exactly where that one was going.
He really has to guess on this because it wasn't a great approach, but as soon as it got up a little bit around shoulder height, Edberg just pounced on it with the forehand volley.
Lendl has played in over 100 finals in his career. This is just the 21st career singles title that Edberg has contested. 112.
It was a great shot, wasn't it, Jennifer? I think so too.
Sarcastic remark there from Ivan Lendl. He didn't like it at all.
And a couple of the spectators clapping the errant forehand. Edwards breaks point to Edberg for the second time in this game.
And he's got to look at his second serve again. Stefan Edberg from Sweden has broken serve. 3-1 now for Edberg. This is the first break of serve against Ivan Lendl. Lendl won the first set, of course.
Well, he took the bit between his teeth there. Again, not a great approach shot, but a beautiful backhand volley, well executed, and Lendl couldn't get a crack at a passing shot, so he elected to take the lob, and he hit it with the breeze, and the breeze just carried it about 1 foot long. So now a different ball game. It's given Edberg a new lease of life.
He had, as you mentioned, Fred, a few opportunities, make it about 5. Finally converted one.
Love 15.
Nosing on the first serve there, Ivan Lendl chips that one and gets the pace off the ball on the second serve. He tries to wrap the topspin backhand.
You know, if you're into the technical side of the sport, you'll be interested to know that Lendl, for about a 5-year period there, starting or ending 2 years ago, when he hit the slice backhand, it was almost always a defensive shot. Now he's hitting that slice because he wants to. Big difference.
Very appreciative crowd. You can see the sun visors and the caps and hats of all shapes and sizes, and a very warm day here in Montreal.
This Jarry Park Arena, by the way, if you know Montreal, I was going to say in a suburb of Montreal. It's not really. It's just about a 15-minute ride from downtown. It is part of an entire park. This is just one section of a park that includes a swimming pool. And last time we were here 2 years ago, they were erecting a platform for the Pope to, I guess, recognize or make his appearance at right here in this Jarry Park. That was 2 years ago here in Montreal. See, that was home plate. Just around about where Lendl is walking now was about where home plate used to be when the Montreal Expos used this, what is now the Jarry Tennis Stadium. And they used to use it. Jarry Park. Edberg holds on. 4-1 now, second set. You know, of course, that tennis, like almost every other sport, is just a matter of millimeters. Well, it was a very close thing in that first set. Finally, Edberg played 2 points when he was serving in that first set at 5 games. Let's say it was 4 games all. He played 2 very loose points, and that cost him the entire set. But it was really just 2 points that did it to him. Well, in the second set, Ivan Lendl gave him a few chances. Finally, he converted one. And now he has what looks like, anyway, a commanding lead in the second set. It is just 1 serve break, by the way. So this second set is by no means over because Lendl is about to serve. But certainly, Edberg, you'd have to bet on him in the second set. And the chances are, therefore, we'll be looking at a third and final set. These 2 contestants for the Canadian Open Tennis Championships.
As Cliff mentioned, just a game of a couple of points now. Stefan Edberg has the break in this second set, and he can now attempt to hit out, go for a little bit extra on the Lendl serve, as he did in that first point.
10-2, 15.
You know, Fred, I had the feeling that Lendl was almost ready to give this game away and maybe even the set. But he's come back in this game. That drop shot that he played a couple of points ago wasn't exactly a high percentage play, was it?
No, you don't see him play too many of those.
But he has come back in this game.
Well, the story will be told on Edberg's next service game.
J. Lendl.
So Ivan Lendl does hold on to serve, and as Fred said, the story of the second set anyway will be told right here. Edberg serving at 4-2. If he wins this, he'll be up. Only one serve break, remember, 5-2, but Lendl knows that if he's going to make a move in this set, it better be now. $11,000 plus in this Jarry Tennis Stadium, and there's not a seat to be had.
Boy, he closed in well for that backhand volley. It was the high kicking serve that set it up. Lendl slicing on him a few returns off that second serve. First serve percentages, Edberg still up there at 80%. Lendl climbing up the scale a little, 58%.
It's interesting that Lendl has two distinctly different returns of serve that he can choose to play. He hit the slice that you saw then that gets so low and makes it difficult for the incoming volleyer to get the ball up. And then he has the boomer that he can just whack straight at the player if he wants to, or in fact in any direction, but where speed is the thing, not slice.
Pressure game, this seventh game. We've mentioned it so many times.
Again, the slice return was a little high. Edberg tried to do a little too much with the volley, just missed it. Tendency to do that sometimes because, well, if Lendl can run him down, especially off the forehand side, he's not going to miss too many.
Incredible, though, this game he's elected to play 4 slice backhands. He's been successful 3 out of 4. 2 break points for Lendl.
And Ivan Lendl, well, I wasn't sure how he felt 2 games ago, but he's back in it right now. Well, there have been 3 breaks of serve. One in the first set against Edberg. Lendl won that 6-4. There have been 1 apiece here in the second set. They're on serve now with Lendl about to serve at 3-4. This is the final of the Canadian Open Tennis Championship from Jarry Park in Montreal, Canada. I'm Cliff Drysdale, along with Fred Stolle, and things have changed yet again. Fred Edberg looked to be very much in the driver's seat, won a few games in a row, led 4-1 with 1 serve break, and then Lendl has come storming back.
You mentioned, though, Cliff, just 1 service break, and in this caliber of tennis, it's tough to get round and consolidate those situations, and Edberg went down there in the 7th game, threw in some good serves. Ivan Lendl made him play every one of them, and made 2 unforced errors off the backhand, made 1 good backhand volley, and then that rifle-like forehand returned right at his body, and he couldn't control it. So Lendl is right back into this second set now.
Next week, the Thriftway ATP Championships in Cincinnati. That's going to be a good one. They've made some tremendous improvements to the arena down there. That one built especially for tennis. Then the North Star Bank, that'll be on ESPN the weekend before the U.S. Open. And tonight, of course, big day for us on ESPN, NFL football, Chicago and Miami, the new arena down in Miami. We're excited about it. They've almost cleared the decks, cleared the halls in Bristol. Fred, everybody's down there in Miami for the first show.
Should be an exciting one. Well, that's the forehand volley that's been pretty good to Stefan Edberg throughout this tournament. Let him down under pressure today against Lendl, though.
Just wide. He'll take a look at the lines person, but he's not going to waste a lot of time on it. Here it is again. He's ahead 40 love, remember.
Gets back for this one really well, though. Jumps up both feet off the ground. Maybe just a little off balance, but he thought he had it.
Lendl holds on, 40 love, and then 2 in a row for Edberg, but no mistake on that service ace from Lendl, and it's 4 games all. Remember, Lendl has now won 3 games in a row on a trot. So this is a big game for Stefan Edberg to impose himself on Lendl if he can at 4 games all. He lost the first set, 1 serve break, 6-4. Lendl thought he had a terrific return of serve.
He showed good speed of foot here. This is played to perfection, this shot, because he fools Edberg. Edberg is looking for the slice down the line. He plays the off backhand and then moves towards his backhand side, and Edberg got it back in front of him. Well, Lendl having a look at that one because he anticipated that serve to the forehand once more.
30 love.
That's the one that Edberg was looking for on the first point, and you can see he moved well inside that service line area there to make contact with that backhand volley. Well executed shot.
reading something in the ATP newsletter, Fred, that I thought might be of some interest to you. They say they get more mail for Stefan Edberg than they do for anybody else. Folks who write from all over the world asking the ATP to pass on mail to him. Interesting. Game point. 5 games to 4 for Edberg, so when we come back, it's going to be Lendl serving to stay in the second set. This is a picture of the Jarry Tennis Stadium in Montreal, Canada, with Drysdale, Fred Stolle, the final round of the men's singles, the Canadian Open Tennis Championships. 2 weeks short of the U.S. Open. Both players here have that in mind. That's why they're here. This is a warm-up series of events. Matter of fact, a much longer warm-up to the U.S. Open than there is, for example, to Wimbledon, because the French Championships take place just 3 weeks before Wimbledon, and there was a lot of discussion this year among the players on the tour, and even a suggestion by the All in England club that they may try to delay the tournament for a week to give the players a chance to at least have 1 more week of practice on grass. Well, I don't think it's going to happen, but at least it was something that they were considering doing. Not so the U.S. Open. There's a good 6-week warm-up, and this is just 2 weeks, as I said, away from the U.S. Open. Ivan Lendl won the first set 6-4. He's serving, trailing 4-5 in the second.
This is where Stefan Edberg has been a little tentative in my judgment. He's been a game in front with an opportunity to win a set or consolidate a service break. A break serve, he just hasn't gone for his shots. That serve was well.
Edberg feels like it was a long way out. He indicated with a gesture to the umpire that he thought it was a good 6 inches out. Take a look at it again.
Well, I couldn't believe this, because from our position here, I didn't even think he was going to try it to even play the ball. Look where this one bounces. Look at this. That is a good 6 inches wide.
The crowd know it, and Edberg is going to take a stroll. The problem with Armstrong's position here is that that ball bounced on the court opposite to his seat, and it's very, very difficult for him to overrule, and he's not going to. But it was a bad call, clearly. Dirty love.
Well, that's the third double fault from Lendl. Still 40-15. Couple of game points to get the 5-all.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, that forehand was well struck. Stayed down low. It was a low slice return.
Lendl's going to the side of the court. I'm not sure. We may be able to find out. He's going to take out a new racket. Take a look at it. You know, we never used to do that in our days, because things have changed now. But We always wanted to play in a racket before you used it in a match. At least I did anyway. And here's Lendl. He takes one out about every 9 or so games. Brand new racket, brand new string job.
Well, we talked about superstitions earlier in the match, and there you see the equipment comparison. But Lendl likes to change rackets at every second ball change, and they've just had a change of tennis balls now with Edberg to serve at 5-all, so Lendl figures that that racket's done its job. The tension in the strings have changed, so he gets a new one.
It's interesting, isn't it, that Lendl uses a racket that's a little heavier than most. Most players are using light to light medium rackets. Lendl has a medium. And his grip is a little larger than most, too. Most players about 4.5 now.
I remember the last time when Stefan Edberg served at 4-2, he lost his serve. It was the sliced backhand from Lendl paid dividends. And there wasn't much he could do about that last one. Another sliced backhand set that passing shot up for Lendl.
And you may put this down as the most important point of this stage of the match by a long way. If Lendl can win this point, he'll have 2 break points to serve for the match. Yep. Edberg keeps boring into the net, and Lendl keeps slicing the return. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. This is break point for Lendl. He got to it, but the court's open. Excellent court coverage, and you know that at a certain point the only thing he could do was lob the ball.
There's the forehand, and it forces him to play the half volley. Couldn't quite get in close enough, and lots of touch on that half volley. Lendl, good foot speed to get to it. Anticipation there from... There you see the movement in isolation, the anticipation on that backhand volley. We showed that one to you early. Firm wrist, keep the head of the racket up. And it's back to juice.
What a point on break point for Lendl. And he'll have another shot at it.
Again, just sheer pace on that forehand return, and Stefan Edberg unable to control the forehand at all. Ivan Lendl pretty frustrated with himself there, and the ball bounced back at him. He whacked it to try and bounce it up high. See if we can pick it up here. There's the serve, and it's a clean ace. And the ball came back to Lendl, and he whacked it, and it bounced up and hit him right in the face.
You feel like an idiot when that happens, too. Shame. Back to deuce.
Well, sections of the crowd didn't hear the fault call. They thought that Stefan Edberg had missed a pretty simple forehand volley.
Third chance for Lendl. And if he makes it, of course, he'll surf at the match. So close, though.
Well, some pretty good tennis here as Lendl fools Edberg again and forces him to go back. This time it's a little wider and he can't play the passing shot down the line, but good control over that slice. But Edberg right on top of the volley once more. Look how he moves forward into this one. He's way inside that service line. There's the angle. He moves forward. Good stretch to that one. Good control of the head of the racket.
Get it. It was the backhand passing shot that set it up. Edberg couldn't get there in time to do anything effective with it. Just popped it up, and then it had the open court.
There it is from way behind the baseline, the power of that shot, and Edberg can't get anything on it. Stands up, and good night.
Go, Stefan.
Break point.
Yes.
Well, the depth of that second serve was the important thing there because Lendl had control of the backhand. That one right on the button.
Stefan Edberg will breathe a sigh of relief. Lendl had so many chances, but he's still ahead here in the second set. We'll be back with more. Swift Drysdale, Fred Stolle, the final of the Canadian Open Men's Singles Championship. Lendl won the first set. Just one breaker serve in that set, 6-4. Now Edberg's ahead 6-5, was in all kinds of trouble on his last serve game, but nevertheless held on, and now Lendl's going to be serving to get into the tiebreaker here in the second set. And Fred, that has to help, I think, Edberg, having been in so much trouble, and then you kind of breathe a sigh of relief and say, well, I was in terrible trouble, I got a break, now I may make my move.
Well, he was never in front in that last service game until the last 2 points. He was battling right from the very start, did hang in there, had a couple of great volleys to save those break points.
Lendl at 5-6, second set.
That was a good move there by Stefan Edberg. He pushed that forehand, didn't want to do too much with it, and then here it is, and he decides to sneak in on it. Look where he started from. They're way behind the baseline, but look right in on top of the net for that slice approach of Ivan Lendl, and he cut it off. Good backhand volley. Love 15. Well, you've got to hand it to Ivan Lendl. Big serve, comes up with some cheap points when he needs it. Lendl must feel pretty confident if he gets into a tiebreaker, because he's won 5 of the 6 tiebreakers that the two have played.
(40-15), he almost certainly will, unless Edberg can win the next 2 points.
That's a statistic that the players do remember, how they play in tiebreakers.
And how they play against each other, indeed. So
Exactly.
these two guys know what you just said.
Oh,
We will see a tiebreaker here in the second set.
look at the pace of this. That's a pretty good forehand return, and it gets Lendl out of court. You can see when he strikes that ball, he jumps outside the doubles alley, but he doesn't have to worry about getting back. Hits it for a winner.
First to 7 with the lead by 2 will win it. The set, anyway. They were 1 set all, played a tiebreaker at Wimbledon this year in the 3rd set. Lendl won it and ended up winning it in 4 sets. There's a head-to-head career tiebreak record that Fred was talking about.
That's that forehand, that stiff arm forehand. It got up a little high for Edberg, and he still tagged it. Long, very deep. So there's the overall 87 tiebreak record. Remember to join us tonight on ESPN, 8 o'clock Eastern Time from Miami. The Dolphins and the Bears. First preseason game, of course. (2-1) Lendl, tiebreaker. He won the first set.
3-1. Lendl.
Amazing how he's missed those shots under pressure, just off that slice backhand from Lendl. He's 1-3 down now.
And this is a critical point for Edberg. If he can get too many breaks, Lendl, that is, well, he'll be home free. Excellent volley. 3-2 now in the tiebreaker for Lendl.
3-2. Lendl.
And you can see the strength of the wind as it held that lob up there. Edberg just couldn't get it over the net. Players change ends. First player to reach 7 with a margin of 2. After 6 points they change. And they're supposed to walk straight around, but given being a very warm day, umpire Jerry Armstrong doesn't worry too much about it.
Remember, they've also played a match today earlier. Lendl over Jimmy Connors at 10 o'clock this morning, and at about the same time, Stefan Edberg over his good friend from Germany, Boris Becker, because the 2 singles matches were rained out yesterday afternoon. 4-2 for Lendl. Tie break second set. He won the first set, 1 serve break, 6 games to 4.
Don't see Lendl miss too many of those. It was a good wide serve that set it up for him. Well, Lendl's pretty confident in his tie break. He's got a bunch of match points now. He's going to score 6-2 in the tie break, and he's won 5 out of the 6 tie breakers that this pair have played.
This point for the Canadian Championship. That'll do it. Ivan Lendl, 2 weeks short of the U.S. Open, has shown that on hard courts he is still far and away the best player in the world. A week ago, a little trouble maybe in the first set anyway with John McEnroe, but other than that, he has lost only 2 matches on this hard court surface all year. Ivan Lendl, #1 player in the world, seeded to win this championship, has come through. He won 2 matches today, one over Jimmy Connors and now Edberg. He's the new champ. An awesome display again from the world's #1, Fred Ivan Lendl.
Yes, we felt that today being rather windy, Stefan Edberg might have his opportunity to defeat Ivan Lendl. He had a few break points in the first set, wasn't able to consolidate the situation. Lendl came through once more with the big serve when he needed it.
Becker won it last year. Ivan Lendl is the new champion, 1987 Canadian Open champion. World's #1 player came through. He's a little hot maybe, but he did it, and he's happy about it. Today's telecast has been brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? by Diet Coke. You're going to drink it just for the taste of it. And by the financial professionals at Payne Weber Incorporated. The Hamlet Cup, remember, in a couple of weeks' time from Jericho, New York, August 29th and 30th. That's next tennis you'll see on ESPN tonight at 8 o'clock. Join us. We're all excited about it and proud of it. From Miami, it's the Bears and the Dolphins. For Fred Stolley, I'm Cliff Drysdale. Thank you for joining us from Montreal and the Canadian Open Tennis Championships. Good day, everybody.